You can hear me loud and clear?
I can, yes.
And what about, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. So we'll get started.
Yes.
Excellent. So welcome to the AskAviArya Show, where we interview people from all over the world, or especially entrepreneurs and people, human beings who have been able to leverage the internet to lead a lifestyle which we call makes of an internet mogul. Because I always say that internet mogul is somebody who can leverage today's technology and be able to spend more time with the family, still grow his impact on the world, and still make more money because the internet has made all this possible. So Ajay, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Avi. Thank you very much. And I really feel what you've said just now is so important in today's life, because I think everybody is just snuggled with their phone, trying to make an impact with their own self. But I think we need technology to help us, to help technology. So I think that's what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Ajay, tell us, the first section of my show is always the story, the behind the scenes. I always say that I'm a father of 2 girls, 6 dogs, husband to a superwoman, a streetcar racer, turned hotelier, and now social media marketer. So what is your story?
Well, if I have to put it in your words, then I'm a father of 2 sons, husband to a beautiful wife, who's also my partner in the business.
Okay.
I started my career very humbly with TGI Fridays. This was way back in 1998 as a prep cook, and even after passing out of college and getting a gold medal, didn't get a job. So that's really behind the scenes. Slogged, and then moved to the Cecil in Shimla for about 1.5 years. My inert dream was to get through the Oberoi Center of Learning and Development, and as a hotelier, you would know what it means for any hotelier there. Didn't get through the first year. The second year, the course never happened. The batch got scrapped off. And the third year, I finally made it. And then the next 2 years were a roller coaster ride, because you enter as a cowboy, but you come out as a chef.
Nice.
Oskeldy does that to you. It's 2 years of strenuous hard work, a lot of data getting inside you, and you becoming a man, really. So that's what it did to me. But I worked with the Oberoi for only a year at the Oberoi in Delhi, and then I moved to the Marriott in Mumbai. So I was the sous chef at JW Mumbai in Lotus Cafe, one of the busiest coffee shops in town. Did that for about 2.5 years, then got promoted to a chef de cuisine in a restaurant called Saffron in the same hotel. Then came back to Lotus Cafe as a chef de cuisine, and then I moved out to London. This was a different step altogether, because I mean, at that moment, everybody was looking at the international market, and Indian restaurants were picking up steam there. So I got an opportunity and I went there. So I spent 3 years being the executive chef of a restaurant called Milkleaf, and then I opened another one for them. And we were there for about 3 years. That by then I got married as well, so we were there for about 3 years, and came back to the Goa Marriott Resort as the executive chef. That's where MasterChef happened. And people ask me, how did MasterChef happen? And I just say this. I just got this as a gift from God, because I didn't do anything for it.
How nice. Lovely. I love that.
So, so post that, I think life completely changed. A year later, I joined the Westin in Mumbai, where I met your good friend, our marketing head, Anjali.
Right.
Yeah. So I think you still do the Marriott account.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I worked with the Westin for 4 years, and I think by then I realized that I was earning too much money for somebody else.
Right.
And then me and my wife thought to ourselves that I think we should do something for all. And then we asked God, and what should we do? And restaurants is all what we know. Food is all what we know. So we ventured into that. Now, from the past 3 years that we've had this company called Zion Hospitality, we've done 16 restaurants all across. So starting from Muscat, to Jaipur, to Raipur, to Bilaspur, to Mumbai, to Pune, to Rajkot, Surat, and now Abu Dhabi. So, the space is kind of increasing. And I think, yeah, that's really the story of, actually, that's the journey. I won't call it a story. The story is that, I it will be cliched if I just say I love food. But yeah, look at me. Yeah, I love food.
But I think you've lost weight since your last pictures I saw.
I have been trying a lot because, in the loving food business, I have also started to love a lot of tablets, which I don't like.
Right.
So I need to get living for longer so that I can enjoy food for longer.
Exactly.
And that's why I think I'm just kind of balancing the gap.
Right. Wow, that's an amazing story. I loved what you said, that because that is something that's, even with a little bit of success that you get, उसके साथ में थोड़ा सा डर आता है. When people say कौन सा डर आता है, ऐसे डर ही आता है that दिमाग पे ना चढ़ जाए ये चीज, because it's not supposed to be ours to own. So I know exactly what you're saying, and I loved it. I think that's the best part of the interview. It's आगे जो भी होगा, but that was the best part.
Yeah. Just to kind of add on to what you just said, something that दिमाग पे चढ़ जाती है. Being chefs in a hotel, you're a hospitality person yourself. It's a very normal thing, right? You go for a job, you work, and you come back. There's no glory attached to it. Maybe an interview here or interview there is fine. But then this was larger than life. This was, starting yourself to be seen on national television, standing and rubbing shoulders with Akshay Kumar. It did go in my head.
Right.
It did tell me that, oh wow, you are something now, and that really is such a slippery ground. Okay. And unless you have the hand of God holding on to you, you will slip, and that's what exactly happens to every single celebrity who goes high very quickly and then comes down very quickly as well, because it's about holding your own self, your emotions. So I really need God to handle me in that area. And when I slipped, I really looked out for God's hands, and I realized that He was always there. So I think that's really the story.
That is so beautiful. A Saturday morning of mine is made, because that's the kind of conversation I like to, because it's just so reassuring that that there is a higher power, there's a higher universe, there is a God, and that we will slip. It makes us feel less responsible for our mistakes, because I always say that I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be conscious of the fact that there is somebody around me, and it makes me feel less responsible for the fact that नहीं तो कितना बड़ा भार लेके हम चलते हैं अपनी life में. I have to do it.
Yeah. You have two lovely daughters, and I must relate this to a family, because God really made us as His children, and we are His family. So when your daughters are around you, they are exactly like you, what you just expressed, like this. My dad's around. I don't need to care about anything. I can live it. So that's how God wants us to live, knowing that God is around us, and He is our Father, and He will hold us up. So I think now I live with that assurance, and that freedom is different. That freedom is not a freedom where I can go and do anything, but that freedom is that I can enjoy life as God has made it.
That is so freeing on a Saturday morning जब हमारे office में इतना कुछ चल रहा होता है ना. I'll show you the whole office right now, and I'll show you what madness happens 24.
Yeah.
Because from this office building of ours, we are handling about 700 hotels in 10 countries. So,
wow.
Somebody's social media or the photograph of a dish or the room is not going right, or there's utter madness outside my cabin. I'll show you what's happening.
I can totally imagine.
But amidst all of that, when you tell me these kind of things, I actually feel I've lost 10 kilos just by talking to you in the last 10 minutes.
Wow.
Great. So, so when it comes, so I understand that I liked your story of when you said that you wanted to be in that Oberoi school, and, first year you didn't get in, second year the program didn't happen, third year you finally got in, and after that there was 2 years of struggle. So one was the struggle to get in, the other was the struggle to say that can you even get in, and then, then maybe you could say, somebody would say bad luck ho gaya, again you watch second year. and then you got in, and then once you got in, it was not the end of the journey, it was the beginning of the journey. It was 2 years of harsh work. और उसके बाद भी निकलने के बाद, then you had to go for a job here and a job there and a job there. So the journey from being who you are to what you want to be has got, you know, so many milestones.
Yeah.
So, you know, for all the budding entrepreneurs or budding chefs who are listening to this in the hospitality industry, what would your advice be to them? Keep on marching, one day you will reach your destination, or while you're contemplating your career, you should also see that what is right for you, what is not. I mean, what should be the strategy? Chalte raho, dekhi jayegi, one day everybody reaches a destination. People who don't give up, they will eventually reach. Or should you keep on thinking, is this for me? Can I do a better thing?
Yeah. Now, brilliant question, Avi. Thank you very much for this, because it kind of sums up the entire career story for anyone. Now, I would want to relate this to, I was at an institute yesterday called as the Academy of Pastry Arts in Bangalore. And I was just addressing the students about the same story, and the same question popped up. And, before I could say anything, I actually asked one of those very bright, gleaming students who I could see in the eyes that, he's got something in him which will make him grow higher. And I asked him, I said, what do you think of this question? And then he said that, sir, I did my internship. And in my internship, I was given a bag of potatoes, every day. And, I had to peel those potatoes. And every time I got those potatoes, I thought, is this my life? And, and as I crossed that bag of potato, I could learn something new. Right. And then I could learn something new. And then I could learn something new more. So, he said it in so many crystal clear words that I would now want to take my life as one potato at a time. Nice. And I think it sums up the entire story, because, we don't know what's going to happen to us 5 years, 8 years, 20 years from now. I have known IIT engineers who have spent their lifetime doing techie jobs. And then after 20 years, they say, I want to be a chef. I want to do something. So I'm saying that you never know what life is going to open up for you 20 years later. But what we do know is today. What we do know is that if we do not put our best efforts today and our skills in the best use today, it is not going to anywhere amount into whatever we are thinking tomorrow. So there are a lot of people who keep thinking about tomorrow today and destroy today. There are a lot of people who think about yesterday today and destroy today. But there are very less people who think about today, foreseeing tomorrow, and work today. Wow. I think that's how I come to work every day, that what is my task at hand today? What is it going to do for me today? And then, obviously, this is going to translate into something bigger tomorrow. So I really loved when the boy said that I'm going to take life one potato at a time. So my advice to everyone is that even my life, I've done the same thing. I've peeled bags of onions, and anybody can get discouraged having 600 kgs of onions in front of you that you have to peel and slice and make brown onion paste. Like, that's really wow. I mean, what a job it is. I'm so excited. Nobody was going to say that, right? Mm-hmm. But I told myself, the quicker I pass off this hurdle, can I actually get inside the kitchen and learn the new gravy? Wow. A lot of my batchmates didn't even know why were they peeling the onions. I at least knew that iska brown onion paste banega. So I think that's also another thing which I want to tell you, that, be aware of who you are, where you are, because that is basically can give you a surety of what you're going to do. Otherwise, you can just go on with blinkers on and you don't even see where you are. So there were a lot of people who were peeling onions but didn't know what they're peeling it for. And my chef would actually come and ask me a question that, "Ye kiske liye peel kar rahe ho?" And I would say brown onion paste, and he would just pat my back and go away. And I didn't understand why did he do that, because he realized that there were 100 students there, but only 1 or 2 knew what they were doing. So I think that's another what you're doing, why you're doing this. If your heart is not there, if your heart is not there, then might as well raise your hand and say, "That's it. I'm not going to do it."
That's a very
because
powerful lesson.
Then your journey is going to go.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So,
I think, so these are,
I remember many years back, my dad, told me to get into hotel management, and there was Claridge's Hotel had a program. I think it was a 1-year program, some internship, something. So I went in there as a steward. So the first thing when I went for my interview, I had hair till here and I had two balis. And pause. Okay, okay, you can hear me. Okay. So, first thing they wanted me was to, obviously cut my hair and all of that. And so every morning they used to give us such a big, like a balti, chilamchi usko bolte the, and 600-700 plating. और उसको आप रोज धोइए तो एक महीना तो ये समझ नहीं आया कि हम क्या मतलब हम प्लेटें धोने आए हैं. So what you are telling me today, Aaron, but this example I used many times because what happened with that was because I was able to make friends with all the stewards who had come. उनमें से आधे दिहाड़ी वाले थे जिनको 50 रुपए दिहाड़ी का मिलता था. So what was their motivation in life? What was my motivation in life? There's a lot of things that put into perspective. So you reminded me of that story, and I like it. I think we should have, when we edit this show, we should have one of the things saying "one potato at a time" should be, the title of this interview. Okay, so wow. Your story happened.
Sorry, can I just say?
Yeah, sure.
Can I just say another thing on?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, can I just say another thing on this washing plates? Another thing which we go through as hotel professionals, which nobody tends to understand, because my mom asked me this question. So, what do you do in your hotel management school and your training? And I said, I peel onions, I wash toilets. And she was like, what? You wash toilets? I said, yeah, I wash toilets. And a lot of my friends could never understand this. Recently, I again went to an institute, and this time there was this batch of 200 new students. How many of you want to be chefs course? And the second thing I asked them, how many of you can clean toilets? And they were hardly a hand. And the very fact that I asked this question, and I took the mic around to the principal, I said, have you ever washed the toilet, sir? I said, yes, many times.
Wow.
The HOD, have you washed a toilet, sir? Yes. Question to you. The very fact that, it's about breaking yourself into pieces and saying that, yes, I am humble, but I will know my job. I think, Avi, you're a great example of, doing what you're doing, because I think after hotel school, everybody's perspective changes. You are able to think in a manner which is much larger than any engineer, any doctor, because they are tuned to think like this. We are tuned to think like this. We have no blinkers. We can do whatever comes in our way. And I think cleaning the toilet is one such example that, I can do anything.
Wow.
If I have clean toilets, I can do anything.
That's a great perspective to have. Some people give up hope and think, "मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ?" And you are spinning it around and you're saying, "ये कर सकते हो तो कुछ भी कर सकते हैं." That's awesome. That's all. So so every stage of success gives you some confidence that I can do it and things are working for me. It gives you some humility. It gives you all of those kind of things. Then what happens? What is the next step? How do you continue to maintain that level of success? Or what should be the key ingredients? Obviously, surrounding yourself with the best people, because I'm sure that you and your wife are partners. Both of you keep each other grounded to say that, let's make a nice, holistic, aware, conscious business, with the love of God brought into the business and all of that. I can imagine by just talking to you for 20 minutes that's the kind of business that you and your wife are forming. But what happens? How do you continue to keep that level of success? Because what I've realized is once you reach a certain level of success, then you're not above all the other people that you were working with. You come into a race with people who are better performers now. So it's tougher at that level. So how do you keep on?
True. So first of all, you used a term saying that surround yourself with good people, and I think sometimes it's costly. To run a company and you still have people around you who are expensive. Sometimes it's costly from here because, a lot of people don't even have the heart to share. So what I have done, or what we have done rather as a company, is that we've hired some very good people in our company. people who are fantastic in their approach, thought, creativity, and they will bring in everything to the business just as I bring. And we've had a clear chat in the interview. An interview was very, very clear that, do you agree to what I say in my heart? And if you agree to that, then everything else will happen. But if we are not connected there, then I think nothing will happen. So I think my hiring process is very clear. I look at people's attitude and how deep they are with their own self and their work. And if I find that same depth that I have, then I think the match happens automatically. The second thing what we've done is that, a lot of people don't partner and don't collaborate. But I think today's age is about collaboration. If I have to grow, I can either grow like this or I can either grow like this. So I prefer growing like this, like a larger plateau and then a mountain, is because I am actually making sure that there are a lot of people growing along with me. I take an example of a gentleman who I would not like to name here, but he rose like this. He rose like this. And in the kahawat in Hindi, which we read in school, all of us, that bada hua to kya hua, jaise peड़ khajur, panthi ko chhaya nahi, phal la gaya thi dur.
Right.
So that is not the story that I want to follow. I want to make sure that we are growing together, because if you're growing together, everybody is happy. So that is another thing that I do. The third thing that we do is, obviously, internet is something which is a boon as well as an enemy. So you got to use it as a friend all the time. So there is so much happening around the world that you got to be aware of. Whether it's Copenhagen becoming the food capital of the world, or whether it's Noma doing something else, or whether it's this new Mexican chef who's coming out with his fantastic flavors, or it's naked cakes, so you always keep getting aware of trends through the internet. And those trends are the trends that you start thinking about, and you start thinking that, okay, what is the next thing that will happen in India? Now, we all know that grains are local grains, which were always there 70, 80, 90 years back, and our ancestors always consumed them, had suddenly vanished, but now they're coming back in vogue. So a barley is more in fashion than probably quinoa today in India. Yes, quinoa is becoming famous, but barley is a national approach to quinoa. So I think, again, being aware and talking to the team and what are the new trends, and we have these jam sessions that we do, that what's happening around, to kind of keep all of ourselves abreast. So it's not that you're a pastry chef, you will only do pastry.
Okay.
You will also do restaurant opening. You will also look at the critical path. You will also look at this. So I kind of expose people out of their comfort zone, so that one day they can stand as I stand, because somebody pushed me, so I'm pushing them.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell me, when in this new age of, not really new age, but things evolve, but eventually the basics remain the same. So most of the time, when it comes to opening of a restaurant or opening of a food outlet of any kind, how much is it the story and how much is it the taste of the food?
So if you look at the global perspective right now, everybody is following a story first. But the story, so you probably are a storyteller,
right?
And you know that if the story has no legs, nobody's going to stick onto it. So you will possibly present a great story. You'll possibly have a lovely launch, and maybe a few starting points. But then if the story has no legs and has no body, then it's not going to stick around. And the body and the legs for a restaurant is the food, is the flavor, is the service, is that personalized touch. And all of these elements have to come together for the great story to survive for long.
Understood. That's very well said. So, like, for example, I remember I'd gone to, I'm forgetting, it was some beach town many years back. Was it Mexico? I don't remember. There was some beach town I'd gone. I met this hotelier, and they said, before we actually have a meeting, let's have breakfast. So we were having breakfast, and the husband and wife met me, and they said, both of us fell in love in university, and that's how we got together. And then we traveled all over the world, and we tasted different cuisines. And then we came back here. We opened a resort over here. We built it over the last 5 years. And all our experiences of traveling around the world. So we made a multi-cuisine restaurant, and that's what our hotel is about. It was a very interesting story. And then we had breakfast. Then they took me into their conference room, and then their suited booted team came and they presented a very corporate strategy for the same hotel and restaurant. I told them, I said, the story I heard outside was a much more interesting story than the one you're telling me inside, because that's what you guys are, as a brand. So most of the times people are saying, how should I make a great story? And what we are trying to tell them is, you tell us what story you already have. It's already great. Everybody has a journey and a story.
Yeah.
So so that's very interesting what you said, that it has to be a story, but the story has to stand on its legs, which is the service and the delivery and everything together. Because it's a continuous story. I think what I'm understanding from what you're saying is that it's not that it happened once, but it's happening every day.
Yeah.
Excellent.
True. Very, very true. So, I mean, it's a game that you have to bring on every day. You can't just play it once and say, oh, I was Kapil Dev, I took the World Cup in my hand. And that's it.
Right. Right. So when it comes to, internet marketing and social media and all of that, so when all the restaurateurs, hoteliers, or even personal brands, because, that's what the focus of our show is, to understand a personal story, is to understand how, I love how you brought in God into the whole this thing. I just love it, because after that, you threw me off balance for 5 minutes because my mind went in another direction. I was supposed to ask many different questions, but it gave me a lot of peace on what you said. Maybe I wanted to hear it while we are going through many deliveries in the next weekend. But anyways, when it comes to internet marketing and social media and all of that, and it comes to internet marketing, social media for restaurants, and internet marketing, social media for personal brands like yourself, what do you think are the few things that you learned in the past, and how has it helped you? And what is the advice you would give to up and coming social media people?
It has taken me some time to kind of understand this. I won't even say fully. I would say understand it a little bit. And I must confess that I'm not the best social media influencer when it comes to, today's thought process and the day and age that we're going through. So I'll tell you in 2 steps. One is that how am I doing it today, and the other is how I learned it. Obviously, you become a seeker when you are in hotels. You kind of seek so much. So this was another thing that I was seeking, that, what is this? How does this work? And when we were hotel chefs, we didn't even understand the power of media. We used to always think, "Yare koi journalist aaya, usko interview dena padega," it's a big thing. But then over a period of time, we started to realize that, this is important, because what people see is what people believe. And with the onset of Facebook, it was more like a friendly zone. So when MasterChef happened for us, there were some 5,000 odd friend requests that came to my page.
Wow.
And I was overwhelmed. I said, what do I do with this? So I accepted all of them. Then I realized that, damn, this is a bad thing that I do, because this is my personal page, and now people are just asking me stupid questions. So I can't carry this. Then somebody told me that you got to make a page. Then I made a page, and then
page happened after MasterChef. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because we didn't know this game. 2009, I don't think this was so elaborately there. And then page happened, and somebody guided us to make a page, then keep the page, and then the website, and then this and that. And then eventually, I was doing what people were telling me, because I was unaware of many things. But then it came to a point where I saw a lot of youngsters, almost coming to par. And you use this term that after a while, you are not learning, you are actually looking around and seeing what, there are more powerful people who are, something like that you said, just now. If you can remind me, I could just relate it to it. You said that you are around people and you're learning, is more.
Yeah. So I said, when you reach a certain level of success, you're the kind of people that come around you are people who are, more talented than you,
that's right.
Level of
So now the question was that, are they more talented, or are they just using this tool powerfully? So the answer was both. Some of them were very talented, and some of them were just using this tool very powerfully. So I told myself that, okay, fine, that, I know the game 1, but I don't know the game 2. I must learn the game 2 well. And that's why I started to follow all these people, what they were doing and how they were doing things. And then I realized that it's all about building a community. It's about talking to people real time as I'm talking to my family. And that is when people will start understanding that, okay, this guy is for me. I need to read his post, I need to read his recipe because he believes in me. It was then backed up by the TV programs, because the same personality what people saw on Facebook or Instagram is the same personality they saw on television, and the same personality if they met me somewhere, so they had a correlation of the entire thing. I think that was very important, because generally we think that celebrities are showing a different life and living a different life, so I think that's where my story kind of shifted a little bit, because every time I've met fans, they've told me the same thing, that your recipes work, and you are just like how we believed you to be. So I think that just kind of sums up the entire thing. But on the other ground, the game too was that there were people who were quickly rising because of the rise of Instagram and internet, and all this brand activations which was happening through Instagram. I realized that I was behind, and I really then started to work on it to understand the whole perspective of how the story must be told. So much so that somebody told me that, you got to blow your own trumpet. And I said, man, I can't do it. It's not me. I
I know
just
what you
can't.
mean.
Yeah. And he said, you know what, if you don't blow your own trumpet, people will use it as a spittoon. They'll just spit on it and go.
Yeah.
So that opened my eyes, and it's like, wow, so this is a kind of a job. Okay, fine, Ajay Chopra, you have to keep yourself aside and yourself aside a little bit, and then you have to come into the zone where everybody else is thinking. So somewhere I think I was more prototype in my approach in the beginning, but then I started to enjoy this, because then you start having real time confidence in what you're doing and how you're doing it, and people are accepting it. So now I know that if I post something at 10:30 in the morning, I'll probably get a traction which is very little, but my fans are alive between 3:30 and 7:30. So I know this, that if I talk to them at that time, I'm going to get more traction.
So
all of that.
interesting. I like the philosophy in your thinking. I liked what you said about there are both aspects to it. One is that there are some people who are more talented, and then there are some people who just know how to use the tool better. And you had the first aspect done, and you just have to go for the second one. That requires a lot of awareness to know where I am and where I have to go.
Yeah.
That's very.
And that again relates to what I said in the beginning, that if I know where I am, I'm peeling these onions for what?
Right.
It relates to the same thing, really.
Right.
So one potato at a time.
No, that's what in fact what I was thinking in the morning. I got up at 6:30 in the morning, and for many reasons, the first thought that came to my mind was to create a video on lying to yourself, because sometimes
Wow.
to look in the mirror and realize that these are the things that I still haven't done. Some people think that they're late at 22. Some people think that they're late at 32. Some people think at 42 मुझे ये सब कर लेना चाहिए था, मेरे दोस्तों के पास है, सबके पास. I should have reached this level by now. So when you look at yourself, your mirror tells you, मैंने ये नहीं किया. There are some things that you should have done, which you, for whatever reasons, there were some bad habits that you didn't let go of, and there were some good habits that you did not incorporate because of laziness, lack of discipline, bad company, whatever. But when I look into the mirror, I don't want to accept those things because it makes me feel bad. So therefore, I start lying to myself. And that lying to ourselves starts at all ages, from me at 42 to my team, which is an average age of 25. और शीशे को देखना सबसे मुश्किल चीज है. There was this guy who walked into a place like an amusement park, like पहले अपू घर होता था हमारे यहाँ.
Yeah.
He walked into an amusement park. He walked into the room of mirrors. There were mirrors all around, and he walked in and he saw his reflection of him in 10 mirrors. And so he replied to the mirror saying, "Hey, what are you looking at?" So all of them said, "What are you looking at?" So he said, "Talk to me, with respect." They said, "Talk to me with respect." They got into a fight, और वो अपने ही परछाई से 10 परछाइयों से लड़ता हुआ मर गया. So I heard this story around 30 years back, and that's always stayed in my head, that we are always trying to fight between our real self and all that. And so what is supposed to be mostly a digital marketing interview has right now turned into philosophy and spiritual, because you give me such great ideas and insights on how everything is related. Because I think what your point is this only, that it is related. जो आपने बोला awareness वाली बात कि अगर
Yeah.
awareness होगी तो आज कहाँ हो तो कल की success भी नहीं मिलेगी.
Correct.
That is what's happening in my mind right now. You know.
So and you kind of summed it up, because a lot of people think that it is my spiritual life versus my physical life. They're two different things.
Yeah.
We are not. So firstly, I would actually say to the people who look at the mirror and say, "मैंने ये नहीं किया, मैंने वो नहीं किया, मैं खराब हूँ," is that every single person. I'm a firm believer of Jesus, and the Bible says that God has made us wonderfully and beautifully. So the first thing you should get up and look at the mirror and say, I am wonderfully and beautifully made,
Right.
however I am, right? That's the first thing which kind of, builds you up,
True.
so you don't want to press yourself down.
Mm.
The second thing, what I've also done in my life is that I've told my staff, I've told myself, I've told my people that, we all have strengths, and we would love to put our strengths out there and say, oh, I've done this and I've done this, and actually have tambas on our back and keep it there. And, we all love that.
Right.
Great. But that doesn't give us success. That
Yeah.
was past success. So a lot of times, like you said, that we lie to ourselves. We actually put our weaknesses behind us and try to hide them.
Yeah.
And I tell my people that, okay, and I work with Garwali cooks. I work with, people who have not got exposed to much in life. And I say that, अच्छा तुम्हें Microsoft Excel नहीं आता है, तुम्हें जरूरत है सीखने की, क्योंकि तुम आगे शेफ बनोगे. You need to know the costing. So bring this in front of you, and let it be there till the time it is broken in pieces. This was my weakness. I bring it in front of me, and I now can see it. The very fact that you can see your weakness will put you to break that weakness. But if you keep hiding it, and if you keep putting it at the back, that no, this is something, procrastination is something which everybody does. I also do that. I'm not saying that I'm the best guy in this world. I've been procrastinating my exercise and a lot of other things, but I'm just saying that there were weaknesses in me, which I brought in front, and I said, I'm going to get rid of that. And one such thing was speaking English. I was born in Lucknow, traveled with my father's job. So we lived in Alwar, where I studied in a very good school, Alwar Public School, and my English was Faratedar, even in the age of 9.
Oh, really? I can't imagine that.
Yeah, and then we moved to Sonipat, and my school's name was Shambhu Model School, which was Hindi medium turned into English medium, all Haryanvis. And so I entered that school in class 7, and I came out in class 12. And by class 12, I had forgotten how to speak English. I only knew how to speak Hindi and Haryanvi, because Hindi was home and Haryanvi was school. So I could speak brash Haryanvi. And I still remember
that, by the way.
Yeah. Kya kar raha hai, bhai?
Exactly.
So the very fact that I had become my weakness, because when I went for my hotel management interview, the guy asked me a question, so where do you want to go? And I said, I am from Faridabad, and I want to study in Delhi. This was my tone, my dialect, my language, And the guy looked at me like this, like, what? Like, is he really going to get through? And then he looked at my, credentials, and he says, you seem to be from good schools, but what happened here? And then I spoke in Hindi, and I remember this, that, sir, I had this 5 years where I couldn't speak English. And then he said that, why don't you read the newspaper every day? Just read the newspaper every day and start reading it aloud. And I put that in front of me, and I achieved it. And when I went to London, I did face that challenge, because those guys speak really fast.
Right.
But there was a time after 3 or 4 or 5 months that I could speak in their accent with them, standing with them. And I said, man, wow, this is like, really putting your weakness out of the window and throwing it off.
Amazing.
Today, I can go to any part of the world and speak. I can't speak their language, but I can speak in a language which people will understand me, and they will not look at me in a downward manner.
Wow. That is amazing. That has been so amazing. So tell us, what are you, so it brings us to the end of the, the almost the 45, 50 minutes that we asked from you. Firstly, thank you so much for your time. Because it has reset me for the weekend. This is a weekend which I'm not going to get an off, because there's lots of stuff happening in the office. And my mind was really wired up with a lot of stuff happening. So, and in the morning I got up slightly early, so I didn't have time to, normally I don't like to come to the office when I am not 100%, in with my mission, because I'm coming and impacting hundreds of people in the office, and I should not do that. But thank you for this morning session, which was not only about social media, but also about so many other amazing things. So, as we come to the end of this show, what is that one thing that you would want to be remembered as? People are all obviously following you. You seem to be somebody who knows that they're not following a master chef only to know about recipes and cooking and career guidance and all of that, but they're also following you and so therefore you're very aware and conscious of the kind of footprint you're leaving and the impact you're making on people through the 154,000 followers you are blessed with. I'm sure you think of yourself as somebody who's blessed with people who are following your path to success and freedom and good thinking. So what are the one or two things that you would like to say, and be remembered as?
It's a very tough question because, with the kind of life that I've had in the last few years, it has transformed. And now it is not about me, but it's about him. It's about a man who lived for 33 years on this earth. And, he was God and he was man. And he gave his life for the entire world because he so loved us, and he gave his life because all of our sins, the Bible says that everybody has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So we all need a redemption of sins, and only through the blood of Jesus can we get redeemed. Now, when I read this and I look at myself and I think to myself that what have I achieved and what can I achieve? So I can never achieve what this man achieved. So my life's changed. It's not about me anymore. It's about him. And yes, people, do like to remember people with certain things. So obviously food is something which I would like people to remember me of. And the next thing I would like people to remember me of is that, yes, he was a good person. That's it.
That's amazing. Ajay, we would love to, whenever you're passing by Delhi or whatever, we would love to have you visit our office, because I'm sure you'll be able to inspire so many of these young, I can say kids, with all respect to everybody, but young social media people who are creating thousands of posts and images and videos for hoteliers all over the world. And they would love to know that why they're peeling these potatoes today.
Let me encourage them with this last statement.
Yeah.
I have various people in my team, but the youngest in my team is 21. He's just passed out of IHM, and he was one person who said that I don't want to go through the rigmarole of becoming the steward and the manager and this and that. But I do love hoteliering. So I said, perfect, come with me, because we consult restaurants, you will learn everything. Now, he has a very different bent of mind in social media. What I can't even think he does, And I asked him to try this out on my account. So in the past 1 month, he's been working on my stories and working on my account. And I've seen that push. What I've realized is that internet is for everyone. But social media is something which these kids have a knack of. I don't know how. Is it coming in their blood? Is it coming in their whole generation? But this whole generation thinks very differently. So I do want to encourage all your office staff and everybody who's on the social media platform who are young, energetic, that you do have a great brain which God has given you, and I think you can use it so much better and so much well. Apply your brains in the good part and not the bad part, and I think the world can be a better place.
Awesome. Ajay, thank you so much for your time. This was really, really something, one of the interviews that I'm going to see a few times myself.
Well, Avi, thank you so much, and it was nice talking to somebody who's been a hotel professional, as well as he's changed his roles. He's doing something very different. I've heard about internet moguls about 8 years back with Anjali, and I always was intrigued that and Anjali said that you must meet this guy. He's a hotelier, he's an ex-hotelier. And I didn't know that today we'll be having an interview like this.
Right.
So I'm actually quite excited to know you as a person now, and I definitely will stop by when I'm in Delhi.
That would be awesome. I look forward to it, and I'm just going to save your number and stay in touch on WhatsApp. And it was really, really, really an honor to talk to you today. Maza aa gaya.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.